now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like, you dislike, or even if you just want to outsmart me on something that I said, go ahead, shoot us a call, 219-413-9405, and we will play your take back on air for our next episode. All right, but look, we got some stuff to talk about, man. NFL is prime time for NFL. Let's do it. There was a good prime time. Actually, it wasn't a prime time game, but it was a good game. The Minnesota Vikings, I got to give them some credit right now. I got to give them a little juice because they're on their 5th straight win. They're looking to push for 6 straight wins in the upcoming match against the Denver Broncos this week. But last week, they beat the Saints 27-19, and it was a great win, man. And the first thing I want to shout out about this win right here is Joshua Dobbs. Oh, man. Kudos to that man. The man's seen 5 different teams in the past year. Finally got a shot when Kirk Cousins went down from injury and then stepped up big for this other organization with the Minnesota Vikings and has been playing out of this world. When I tell you literally have been playing excellent, he had one game this season under a 50% completion rate, and that was before he even got to the Minnesota Vikings. So he's already been good, but now that he's playing even better with the Minnesota Vikings, he's really keeping them to be contenders for their division and in the NFC in total, because they're winning ball games. The Vikings, they were already looking pretty good when Kirk Cousins was healthy, and he didn't get enough credit, truth be told. But now that he went down and they had to go in scramble mode of trying to find another quarterback, this was someone they picked up who wasn't even their second string quarterback. They grabbed Joshua Dobbs from Arizona, and before Arizona, he was off somewhere else playing and trying to just establish a name for himself. But the Vikings, they picked him up. Ended up being a great fit, worked out perfectly, and he's keeping them afloat. I love what I'm seeing from them. Within the 2 games of the Minnesota Vikings, I've realized Joshua Dobbs, he sees the field well, he makes correct reads in reading the defenses, and he takes whatever the defense can give him. And the most important thing, and the thing that I love most about watching these new quarterbacks come into a new element, is not only did he have to learn the whole entire playbook, which he probably didn't even know in these first few games, to be honest. But he had to learn a whole new playbook, gets in the game, and makes 0 mistakes. That is amazing. And I'm a firm believer that if you're an NFL quarterback and you don't make mistakes, you limit the amount of mistakes you make, you have a clear shot at being somebody in NFL. NFL coordinators will look at you and be like, all right, well, maybe I guess we can work with this guy. Maybe he's on to something. He's not too bad after all. Because the Vikings were lost. They were at a point where they literally lost their starting quarterback, had to go find someone, and this was the guy they picked up. Kudos to the coaches for making him adjust in the element in a timely manner, because, man, that's not an easy thing to do. To bring someone in and accumulate them to your entire playbook, to your staff, to your entire routine of having a quarterback for the organization, or at least being a quarterback for the organization. It's a huge difference. All of these different teams run their organizations like different businesses. Amazon doesn't run their company the same way Walmart runs their company. Walmart doesn't run their business the same way Target runs their company. When you go to these different places, you're pretty much swapping culture, you're swapping ideas and your terminology, all of that. Kudos to the coaches because they set the tone. When he first got brought into the facility, they are the ones that set the tone. Any team that loses their starting quarterback is immediately back against the wall, kind of worried about what's happening next. Is the season going to still be on? Are we still going to be good? Are we going to be able to win ball games? So not only does Joshua Dobbs come in and he's been balling, but he's been thriving at that. So I want to give kudos to Kevin O'Connell. He deserves some credit here. And then with the way the Vikings been rolling, it's easy to consider them like a favorite for, the NFC, their division, what the NFC North. Easy to kind of consider them a favorite, but I don't want to jump the gun that quickly just because we have seen another dominant dog in the NFC North, which is the Detroit Lions. Let's be honest here. Them boys have been balling. They've been looking good, and they've been hot so far this season. Lions have shown their true colors, which is what scares me if I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see the Detroit Lions actually win their division and go on to the playoffs and win some playoff games, whatever the case is. I would love to see that happen because I believe in them at this point. They've shown me that they're resilient. They've shown that they're going to fight to the very end of every single game. They've shown me they're going to take risk in every single game. They played a terrible game and bounced back and looked amazing week after week. Like, I've seen the character of the Detroit Lions throughout this NFL season, and the scary part about it is they're only going to continue to get better. The more that players get healthy, the more players come back from injury, they're only going to get better. So, yeah, the Vikings, they've been rolling and they look good, but ultimately you can't consider, that division theirs. You still got to go through the Lions because they've been playing damn good football. So it'll be tough to see. I think it will be a shootout between these two teams, but I'm going to just let you know right now. Can't sleep on the Minnesota Vikings. I love what I've been seeing from them, and they definitely deserve some praise there. So kudos to Joshua Dobbs. Kudos to the Minnesota Vikings. All right, now look, a side note here, though. Let's do it because there's some other teams in the NFL that need to change up some things. One of these teams being the New England Patriots. Those boys are in some shitty water. Let's just call it for what we see it. I'm done with sugarcoating. You came here to listen, so damn it, you got to hear what I got to say. So look, man, Bill Belichick, he's got to go. I know a lot of Patriots fans are like, well, Bill Belichick is the GOAT. Bill Belichick is one of the best coaches in the NFL. He's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. Yeah. I hear all you. I hear that. I hear those stories. I hear the statistics and all of that. But, man, let me tell you this right now. Bro still ain't recovered from losing Tom Brady back in 2019. Let's keep it a buck. Tom Brady went on from the New England Patriots. He went on to go win a Super Bowl. He went on and retired. He retired, chilled out for a second, got through a whole divorce, returned back to the NFL, played another season, and the New England Patriots still haven't figured out what the hell is the problem. Well, let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is you have a coach who's disconnected from his players at this point. He's disconnected from certain guys on his team that's really going to be that impact in the locker room. I've witnessed Bill Belichick draft bad. I've witnessed Bill Belichick draft the wrong guys. I've witnessed him make the staff look boo-boo at certain times, depending on the play call and all of that. We know he's defensive-minded, but at the same time, bro, you have a lot of different errors that I'm counting up. And a lot of these different errors that Bill Belichick has made throughout the past, meaning poor draft choice and poor player choice in the draft, has been covered up because of a guy named Tom Brady. He's covered his ass for years. Years and years and years. But yet we don't talk about that because it's just now evident. It's just now evident that losing a generational talent like Tom Brady has really hurt him this much. Now we're looking at the point where we're like, okay, well, we trust Bill Belichick because he helped Tom Brady win this many amount of rings. But also, we're failing to see what's happening right in front of us. This organization is falling apart. It's terrible right now. They need to clear house. Go ahead, wipe out Bill Belichick. I'm a firm believer. Just go ahead, start new. Go ahead, draft right, draft the right players. Bring in some picks. Get some good picks in the draft. Trade some picks if you have them. Do whatever you got to do to show that you're actually changing. Because I just congratulated the New England Patriots last week about having a winning culture and being a higher standard for winning in the NFL. I just congratulated them about how often their fans can talk trash about winning because they've actually won in the past. But we got to get it together. I say we as if I'm a part of that fandom, but no, that's not me. But they got to get it together because it's going to shit right now, and they got to get it together, man. They've been trash since 2019. They have a lot of time. They had so much time to actually make this work and improve, but yet they still haven't done it. So to me, man, nah, they got to go ahead, get some changes going, and then from there, we will continue to see progress and see some sort of change. But at least then you have an excuse. You can't keep losing by doing the same thing over and over again. I put it that way. All right, look, man, if you heard something you agree with, disagree with, go ahead, shoot us a call, 219-413-9405, and we'll go ahead and play your take back. And that's a comment, even if you've seen something on our social media at The Run Podcast, and you're like, you know what, I gotta let them know about this, or I gotta ask them about this. Go ahead, do that. We'll set the mood right. We'll set the tone for you. We'll go ahead and play your take back for you. But until then, we got some news for The Run, and then we'll be right back. It's halftime, baby. We'll be right back. All right, and news for The Run. In the NBA, head coach of the Denver Nuggets, Mike Malone, has agreed to a contract extension, making him one of the highest paid coaches in the NBA, and I think that's well deserved, considering he won a championship last year. Moving on to the NFL, the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey was fired after the loss to the Houston Texans earlier this week. The Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields is expected to make his return to the starting lineup this Sunday against the Detroit Lions. Fields, he was ruled out for a few weeks due to a hand injury that happened on his thumb. The Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson will miss the rest of the NFL season due to a fracture in his shoulder that requires surgery. And some upcoming games you'll want to watch out for this week. In the NFL, the Bengals will visit the Baltimore Ravens to play the 7-3 Ravens, and it's going to be a tough one as they play for Thursday Night Football. The Seahawks, they'll take on the Chargers, and the Eagles, they will look to be 9-1 as they face the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium. Now, the Ravens last week, they lost to the Cleveland Browns, and all hell broke loose. This is a 7-3 team. They were 7-2 at the time, but, you know, a lot of people gave them hell because they're like, oh, well, Lamar Jackson, he didn't play well. He struggled, which he did. Don't get me wrong. But people overreacted to this, and I thought it was very unnecessary because the Baltimore Ravens here, they lost to a top 5 defense in the NFL. And if y'all really want to get into it, let's get into it because not only is the defense good for the Cleveland Browns, but also let's touch bases on what Deshaun Watson was doing. Deshaun Watson was out there throwing dimes if you actually looked at the game and seen what he was doing. Put all the statistics aside for a second, meaning pertaining to Lamar Jackson and pertaining to Deshaun Watson, and just look at the game. Because if you watch the game, you'll see that, Lamar Jackson, he has some rough patches, but all of these things that happen in terms of turnovers, interceptions, overthrows, bad throws, they're all not on Lamar Jackson here. If you look at the eye test and you actually watch the game, you'll see that these statistics that people use up are easily manipulated. Stats will tell you Lamar Jackson has been terrible and just as good as one of the average quarterbacks in the league. But if you look at the eye test, you see that receivers are dropping balls. You see that receivers are running the wrong routes. You see that the O-line is not giving Lamar Jackson enough time to throw on some of these plays. You'll see that he doesn't have enough time to develop a play on some of these plays. You'll see that dropped passes from the wide receivers lead to interceptions. You'll see all of these flaws that people like to manipulate and throw at Lamar Jackson in terms of, oh, he's not a good quarterback. But in reality, that's not the case at all. Because he's been balling. He's been winning ball games. And yeah, as we all know, winning cures all. So if you're winning ball games, how much trash can you really talk about a person who's actually still getting the job done? He's the one out there throwing these touchdown passes. He's the one calling the plays on sometimes and reading the defenses, breaking them down, and doing the best he can with the team that he has. I seen an interview where Lamar Jackson was talking about, I'm not really trying to get too much into stats, or I'm not trying to get too much into if I'm better than this guy or that guy. I'm just trying to win ball games. I think they asked him about a record or something he was about to break, and that was his response. I'm just trying to win ball games. At the end of the day, the man is trying to win ball games, and that's what he's doing. So how dare we try and tear him down when his team has one of the best records in his division, or they have the best record in his division. They have one of the best records in the entire AFC, and they've been playing fairly good. But the one game, I'll put it this way, the 3 games that they've lost throughout this entire season, people want to act like he's the worst quarterback in the NFL. I'm not buying it. I'm not going for it. And it doesn't sit well with me when stuff like that happens. So I'll put it this way. The AFC North, it's a matchup this week. They're looking to bounce back against the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals, I think it's going to be a tough matchup going against the Ravens. Two powerhouses who have good history, I should say. This season, we haven't seen the Cincinnati Bengals thrive and shine like they usually been doing over the past few seasons, but it's still time for them to win ball games and possibly make something happen come postseason, maybe getting a wild card game. Who knows? But anyway, I don't see the Bengals winning this ball game here because they just haven't quite found the rhythm. When I watch the Cincinnati Bengals, the first thing I look at is a lot of injuries. They've had a lot of injuries here. And then the O-line, man, they've been struggling trying to protect Joe Burrow. Joey B can only do so much when his O-line is not giving him enough time to actually make a play. And then, man, if they're not helping, it's hard to see what the receivers can do because Joe Burrow can't get the ball to them. And then times where I see that Joe Burrow has enough time to actually throw the ball, let the play develop, he hasn't been on par every single time as well. So compared to what I've seen from the Ravens throughout the season, compared to what I've seen through the Cincinnati Bengals throughout the season, I'm going to ride with the Baltimore Ravens to win this ball game. However, I will say, if they continue to play bad like they did last game, it can definitely go sideways for them. Bengals is not a team you want to give a bunch of chances to. They're not a team you want to play around with because they will definitely win. As I say about any other team in the NFL, you give any team enough chances and you give them enough life to really hang around the game and possibly crawl back into a victory, they will definitely do it. So that's the one thing with the Ravens. Ravens have to go in this game strong, start off strong, and continue that momentum throughout the game in order to win this ball game here. But I'm definitely anticipating a solid game between these two. For Thursday Night Football, that'll be very fun to watch here. So, all right, let's switch gears a little bit. I got to do this, man, because this was last night. Some people were disappointed in what they seen from the Golden State Warriors. Actually, cut the music. Some people were disappointed in what they seen from the Golden State Warriors here, but I was not. I seen Draymond Green choke a man out. And to me, that did nothing but solidify that Draymond Green is allowed to play on any basketball team that I would coach. Because you need guys like that on your team. You need some guys that's willing to fight sometimes and to be there for their players. How many times do we see guys really stand tall for their players, man? In today's NBA, where people complain that it's so soft, and it's trash now. They call tic-tac fouls. You get ejected for this. Draymond is one of those guys who don't give a damn. He don't give a damn about how many times he get ejected. He's an old school type of guy, and I love to see it. He's like a Ron Artest or Rasheed Wallace or one of those type of guys back in the day, man. Like, I don't give a damn how many times you eject me. I'm going to continue to keep my same attitude. I'm going to continue to keep my same aggression in play. I'm going to continue to keep my same momentum and this same spark that I have whenever I step on the floor. You need guys like Draymond Green to win a championship, and you need guys like Draymond Green to win tough ball games. Now, as far as the Warriors' struggles, look, hey, that's a completely different story. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's the reason they're struggling, or it's a lot of different reasons they're struggling. They can't shoot the ball well. Steph Curry's the only one scoring. Draymond definitely need to help out a little bit more on that, but right now he's Dennis Rodman. Hey, you need those type of guys, as I'm saying. But I'll put it this way. Draymond is allowed to play on any team. He's going to keep his guys in check. He's going to make sure everyone is on the same page mentally. And then I can't help but to think about the incident that happened with Jordan Poole when he punched him in the face. We seen a clip of Jordan Poole yesterday when he was running his mouth in the middle of a coach's huddle. Pretty much telling people, like, I'm not worried about this shit. It's my team, whatever. Like, you could read his lips and then you could also hear the audio in the slightest. But it was just crazy to me because I'm like watching his video and I'm like, things like this is really what can push people over the top. When you playing with a guy like that who thinks he's better than what he really is, that can really get your gears going. Like that can cause somebody to get an attitude, get really hot and ready to fight you, if that makes sense. And when you're on a team with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, who is already proven to make it work without you, oh, I get it. I get why Draymond was ticked off in the littlest sense. I get it. I'm not saying it was called for. And, I know that's old news of him punching him, but all I'm going to say, man, a guy like Draymond can ride with me anytime on my basketball team. In any off-court situation as well. I need that type of guy next to me if we wilding out somewhere. I need him because I know he got my back. He's 10 toes everywhere he go. But Until then, man, I think that's all I got for y'all. Look, I'm going to stop it there before I continue to ramble on and go on and on. But anyway, look, man, again, if you heard something you agree with, disagree with, like or dislike, or even if you just want to comment on something I said, go ahead, shoot us a call. 219-413-9405. We'll play your take back on air for our next episode. But until then, man, we will be back at a later date. Maybe next week, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after that. Who knows? But we'll be back later on next week. Let's not even front. You might catch a surprise episode or not, but don't get your hopes up. But look, man, send this to a cousin, a brother, a niece, a nephew, uncle, co-worker, anyone you're friends with. And until then, we will be back later on next week. And so on and so on and so on.